How did the smell of death impact Casey Anthony's acquittal? Imagine walking into a car trunk and immediately feeling overwhelmed by a foul, unbearable smell. That smell is often called the smell of death because it signals decomposition. In the Casey Anthony trial, this smell played a big role in the case. Forensic experts tested samples from her car trunk and found compounds linked to human decomposition. The prosecution argued that this smell proved her daughter Kaylee's body had been there. They also found high levels of chloroform, which raised suspicions about foul play. Insect activity and a stained paper towel with evidence of decomposed tissue added to their case. But the defense challenged this evidence. They said the smell could come from other sources like garbage or organic material. Some experts testified that gasoline or other common substances could produce similar odors. They also argued that the chloroform levels could be explained by accidental spillage, not criminal intent. This disagreement among scientists created doubt. One expert said there was no other explanation for the smell, while another said it was inconclusive. This conflicting testimony made it hard for the jury to be certain that a body had been in the trunk. Odor evidence is tricky because smells are subjective and hard to measure. Unlike DNA or fingerprints, smells can't be preserved or re-examined later. The lack of a body and the time that had passed made it even harder to connect the smell directly to a crime. The jury had to decide whether the smell alone was enough to convict. They ultimately chose to acquit Casey Anthony of murder. The case shows how forensic evidence, especially odor, can be powerful but also limited. Scientific disagreements and the absence of clear proof can weaken a case, even when the evidence seems suggestive. In the end, the smell of death was a dramatic part of the trial, but it didn't seal her fate. The jury's decision was based on the overall doubt created by conflicting evidence and the lack of concrete proof. This case highlights how important it is for forensic evidence to be clear and unambiguous in criminal trials. It also reminds us that in true crime stories, multiple pieces of evidence are needed to build a strong case. The smell of death may have pointed in a certain direction, but it wasn't enough to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.